Moeed,
Yes.
Aljazeera, head of new media.
Yes.
What's that like?
It's a lot of pressure. I get to chew chewing gum during interviews, so that's quite cool. Yes.
Cool. So, what kind of tools do you use?
Okay, so we're anything that's available on the internet, most of the services are free. I mean, the culture of internet is like free. Use it, abuse it, and make value out of it for whatever you're doing to your audience, for viewership. So for us as news, it's a lot about connecting with people. There's a lot of discussions happening everywhere, so making sure that the discussions that are happening are informed discussions, and that's essentially our business. The topics that are being covered in news, they're affecting people's lives. This way or that way. People find out about it through not just through Al Jazeera, but other places as well. So giving people perspective, the information, the facts. That's essentially the business. So the new media tools that are available, be it Facebook or Twitter or anything, YouTube, for example. I mean, these are just tools, and we want to be there. Well, one of the key things that we want to do is not necessarily require everybody to come to Al Jazeera. Just the conversations are happening, be where people are discussing things. And one of the things we did early on, this is like in 2007, we were one of the first broadcasters to have full feature-length programming available on YouTube for everybody. From our English channel, which launched, as soon as it launched, we had, all our documentaries, anything Al Jazeera produced was available on YouTube. This is the same time, I think, just after BBC announced they're going to put the previews and, of their shows, like Top Gears and so on. So I think a month or 2 months after that, all our programming was on YouTube, and it still continues to be on YouTube.
Wow. You've got a lot of stringers all over the world. You've got a lot of full-time journalists. How do you equip them to report in a multimedia fashion? Are they multifaceted in themselves? Do they do audio and video and photos?
Well, reporters, obviously we're a new brand. I mean, Arabic channel, which is the oldest one, is just 13 years old in November. So it's not like we've developed a tradition of sort of, so it's essentially we're new, but the journalists are obviously from other places. I mean, it wasn't like they came and they were developed like BBC or CNN. So it's still like we're sort of breaking them into new media tools. One of the very exciting things we're doing is what we call it's called a new mobile reporter thing. It's essentially a Nokia N95 or N93. We went through.
Is this taken from the Reuters kind
very
of
similar,
Mojo?
exactly.
I know the guy that headed that.
Yeah, we actually chatted with them. It was around the same time we were doing it as well. We're experimenting with it.
Ilko on Twitter, he started the whole Mojo mobile journalist kind of setup.
Internally, we call the same thing Mojo. Within Al Jazeera.
Which I to be honest, I think journalists should be mobile anyway. They should not be
they
sitting at
already
the
are
desks.
mobile, exactly. So, but we've sort of taken it into the field, and we're really pushing for it. And so what we do is essentially a mobile thing. We have an application that's developed for us. We've particularly developed for Al Jazeera, and so people can sort of record video, images, upload them onto our newsroom directly.
Wow.
And one of the cool things about the application is that people can actually edit the footage before they send it, and also if the connection drops or whatever, it'll pick up, because these things are very important for when you're in the field. I mean, if it's a 2-minute clip and it takes 20 minutes to upload, you can't go back and upload if the connection breaks.
How do you deal with some of the bandwidth issues? For example, I was in Iraq and there was a little bit of Wi-Fi. There wasn't very much of a kind of GSM network.
Yeah. So this is it's a place by place essentially, and I'll give you an interesting example. It's the first time actually we ended up we used this in a real case scenario, where one of our cameramen, he's very hip, let's say, he's been in Afghanistan, Iraq, everywhere. And very, very seasoned, and he's very excited about technology as well. So he bought a camera phone, and he's like, listen, you guys are experimenting with this application, you want to load it up on my phone? He said, sure. We equipped him, we trained him on it, and then he was flying into Chad. So he arrives there, he checks into the hotel, his stuff is still at the airport, because it takes a while to clear things, the cameras and everything. And so he's at the hotel, he decides to go grab some bananas for lunch, He's in the marketplace, a bomb goes off, just essentially, like, I would say 20 meters from him. And it's like chaos, there's blood. He had his phone with him. He went, he took the video. He called our managing director at the Arabic channel. He's like, listen, I just got this footage. It's like, and this is obviously, you have to do it immediately, because once the police arrive, they're going to push everybody away. So then you can't take footage. So he took the video, and he ran to his hotel through Wi-Fi. 20 minutes we had that footage, way before anybody else would have it. Other people wouldn't even be able to get that footage, because once the police arrive, they won't let people take that footage in. So hotel Wi-Fi's, things like that. But an interesting thing he told us, which he's been using since then, is UN missions. For example, in Africa, you have very little connectivity. So what he would do is, wherever there's a UN mission set up, they normally have Wi-Fi. So he'll go next to the wall, stand there, and just sort of pick up their Wi-Fi. In terms of connectivity, I'd tell you, like when some of our reporters were covering Cannes Film Festival, they had the hardest time connecting, by the way. So in Afghanistan, in Iran, in Pakistan, we've not had difficulty. But going to Cannes and stuff like that, it's a different story.
Because they've got the infrastructure, but everybody's on it.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to find ways of getting good, Arbigan or satellite systems, which are cost effective.
There you go.
Since Al Jazeera kind of rebranded and started giving so much content in English, have you found a massive uptake? Are people really interested in the Western world to get that as a perspective?
For sure. The English channel, which launched end of 2007, obviously is geared towards the Western audience. Obviously, it's in English language, and it's up. You know that we don't have distribution within North America, for example, at the moment, and that's sort of our biggest target audience. But so to get around that, what we've done is we've put stuff up on YouTube, as I was mentioning, and being on Twitter and Facebook.
And why is there no distribution here?
There are multiple reasons for that. There's obviously there's economic reasons, there's political reasons, and I think for most new channels, it's always a difficulty getting distribution to begin with. But then also the case with Al Jazeera has been a political issue as well, where we've gotten obviously a lot of press from the previous administration, the U.S. administration, and their lobby groups and so on that feel like Al Jazeera shouldn't be broadcast in North America. Is
this xenophobia, do you think?
I would say. It's really strange because normally it's obviously the Israeli issue, and this is what's sort of at the crux of it. But people who vehemently oppose, for example, in Canada, is the Canadian Jewish Congress and so on, and they're writing letters to the to the CRCs and so on, saying they should not. But within Israel, for example, Al Jazeera, English and Arabic both are available. Actually, I'm not sure. I think they dropped CNN or BBC. One of the two to carry Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue within the region. People who watch it, in the Pentagon and DC area, for example, they do get Al Jazeera English.
Yeah.
But it's not available. But I think these things will sort of.
I was going to say, do you think they'll change with Obama in power?
I think even without Obama, this would have sort of, it's just the fear of the unknown, sort of not knowing what it is. I think eventually, it would have worked out.
There's a lot of journalists as well losing their kind of visas in Iran at the moment.
Yes.
Al Jazeera finding it easier to keep people on the ground.
No, it's been very similar to the rest of them. Our journalists were under house arrest. I just found out this morning.
They're under house arrest this morning.
Exactly. So.
I bet they're still getting news out somehow.
They manage.
Yeah.
One of the key things about Al Jazeera is that we are connected with the people there, more so than other news channels. So
I've met Al Jazeera journalists in Iraq and in Jordan, and they seem to be incredibly passionate and very proud of what they're doing.
It's something that you will, personally, because I work with the newsrooms and I've spoken to these people, and the passion and the dedication they have is far beyond, like I can imagine. It's like such a loyalty to, their profession and, making sure they do a good job. Recently, we were chatting with Robert Fisk. He was in Doha.
Fantastic journalist.
He's one of the most courageous journalists that internationally, and he was telling us some stories about when he worked with some Aljazeera journalists during the Iraq War, early days of the Iraq War, and some of the stories he told were just amazing, like stuff that I didn't know, and it's just amazing. It's just being in the company of these people is fantastic.
Well, let's hope the reputation builds and builds. Everybody starts getting a little bit more relaxed in certain areas of the world and letting in what ultimately should be the truth. I think passionate journalists tend to produce more truth.
Yeah, it's true. It's true, and they fight harder to get the truth. Yeah.
Brilliant.
And anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
And don't forget to follow at Documentally.